The college football experience, Pitt Panthers 2024 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog's giving away $15 million in Best Ball Mania 5. We finally have college football best ball, folks. Check it out. Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm has the best AI picks and projections, and their football models are almost live. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
Dan Marino and his really dynamic wife.
You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride. Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Pitt Panthers, hail to Pitt 2024 season preview episode. YouTube.com/the college experience as we continue to break down all 134 college football teams in the land. And it is time to talk Pitt Panther football. It wasn't that long ago that they won the ACC. Can that happen again? If they did that a couple years ago, they would have been in the college football playoffs. And then who knows what happens? We got a 12-team playoff coming. Folks, before we dive into all that stuff, you're probably wondering just who the hell you're listening to. My name is Colby Swing at Database Dad, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Yes, yes, yes. I am after you, buddy. That sounds like Pat Narduzzi. All right. After last season, talking to his team. You guys are going to pay for this. I'm excited. Pitt might have, if you go like toe for toe to build it, like you got the new college football game. If I was to program, best all time teams, you put in a roster of like, if you were doing Alabama, you'd have Derek Thomas and Joe Namath and, Pitt might actually have the best roster of all time. Like when you look at great football players, Pitt has put out a gigantic list of fantastic football players. You heard it on the intro with Dan Marino and his dynamic wife. Look, I am joined by my co-host. He is the host of the Bottom Line Bombs podcast. Some know him as Scumbagger Vance. Some know him as the Bet Detective. Give it up for CJ Sullivan, a.k.a. What's your name this week?
Well, in theme of the Bet Detective and the great legend. I mean, so many great legends to choose from, like you said there, Dundee.
Bill Fralick? You got a Bill fucking Fralick photo there?
That's Bill Fralick on the wall there, but on Route 79 there with the Pittsburgh sign next to a nice Afro Danny Marino. That made the wall. That didn't make the name. Yeah, that's him. That's the most Pittsburgh sign ever. He's standing by his sign says Pittsburgh in 79 East Monroe.
YouTube.com/the college experience. And what is the sandwich I'm looking at to the bottom right?
Oh, that's a beautiful Permani's double egg steak and cheese there, right, my friend. Permani's, of course, first sandwich. Put the whole meal into sandwich. Get your fries, your coleslaw, everything all in there. It was originally 24 hours down the Strip District for truck drivers that would come in. They wanted their meal and ready to go so they can head out there and hit the road, Norsham. So they invented it by putting everything inside the sandwich.
Fantastic. So there, but for your name, there's no actual. You're just going Bill. Something on a play on Bill Fralick, perhaps.
I'm going Covert Operations. For Bet Detective.
I like it. Jim Covert Operations here, the Bet Detective. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Where are you at? I know you're a Duquesne Duke graduate, but man,
Duquesne Duke graduate. That's why, and which is down the street from Pitt and Oakland. We'd clash a little bit, with parties, but we wouldn't mess with it. I love Pitt. Pitt parties are always fun. The campus shot. R.I.P. to the O Fries would be a great late night place. You go down there, they give you a huge garbage bag full of French fries there. That place shut down, and a lot of fun's there. Oh, Moneyline Mac, as I see. Moneyline Mac is the single reason why I'm not wearing a sweet Pitt hat today, by the way. I was out there in Pittsburgh doing shows down the strip, and they had this amazing Pitt hat. And then I knew I was going to see Mac soon in Vegas. I'm like, I can't do it because he shames anyone with the Pitt gear. But they do have some sweet gear, Pitt gear. For sure.
I'm just so glad they were lost. They're still a little bit lost to me, if I'm being honest with Pitt. Pitt Stadium. Listen to the Stadium Heads podcast, but Pitt Stadium to me is like a mecca of football, and
up on the hill.
Oh my God. I like that. Whoever decided to get rid of that
terrible
should never be allowed in Pittsburgh ever again. But they went away from the yellow and blue for a little bit there. They were doing like gold. It was
awful.
Larry Fitzgerald and Darrelle Revis era. I thought it was horrible. They've always had one of the best looks in college football with the yellow and blue, with the Curtis Martin era, the Tony Dorsett era, the Marino era.
Yes.
But where are you at with the program? Pat Narduzzi, there's got to be a cocktail named the Narduzzi in Pittsburgh, right?
Well, there's the Imp and Iron, of course, which is the original Arnie Palmer, a shot of Imperial whiskey and an Iron City beer. I see Light being the number one seller per Manny's. They say, that's what they look to advertise. Steak and Egg is the number two seller. What's number one? I see Light, of course. You get an Iron City beer. But yeah, Narduzzi, he's been there. What is this going to be his 10th year coming up already?
Yeah, and in one way you could shit on it, and one way you could say he's only had 2 losing seasons.
Oh, he's been solid, and Pitt's been one of the most consistent programs, in college football, let alone not elite. They've definitely stepped down, but they've been consistent. That's why last year was so shocking. But Narduzzi's good at fighting back when people can't count him out for sure.
Yeah, and I just can't help but look back at that stretch from like 73 to like 89 where they were just a fucking force, man.
They're amazing. So much so where Satan himself, as he's known in Pittsburgh, Joe Paterno, had to ended the rivalry and they stopped playing each other because they would hurt their national rankings too much. I know people that absolutely hate Paterno, and they would come and they come and plunk all their talent.
Yeah, and he's a man of high moral character too. So
right.
Can we get that back on the schedule? Look, I love the Backyard Brawl. That should be priority number one. I would like them to play the final week of the season, not the early of the season, but also
week 3 or something. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Give me Penn State Pitt. You put that in week 3,
right?
But give me the Backyard Brawl to end the season the way it should be.
Has to end the season, and there's nothing better when they're being 20-point favorite. Remember when they fucked West Virginia's national championship?
Man.
LaShawn that only happens in the Backyard Brawl.
Yeah. We're gonna talk more about Pat Narduzzi in a second here, but before I do that, I want to tell you folks out there that you are listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and they just launched their 32-team NFL preview series. Solo podcast for every single team in the land. And as a bonus, each team preview will include a code word. Submit the 32 code word phrase, and you could be the lucky winner who gets a $500 NFL Circa future bet. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. All right. Back talking Pitt football. Pat Narduzzi, let's show some graphics. I've been working on this shit. And look, those logos. I mean, feel free, Pitt, to get a little creative and start going back to those logos. The ones that are featured behind your screen too, that we'll get to. Look, he's won one ACC championship. I think the most impressive thing here, 7 winning seasons and 9 seasons, but really he's 3-3 against Clemson and Florida State combined. Now, for some reason, he fucking sucks against Notre Dame. He's 0-4 against Notre Dame, but 3-3 against Florida State and Clemson is very impressive. He's 7-1 against Duke, 7-2 against Clemson. 6-1 against the Wahoos of Virginia, 1-1 against Dub V. But North Carolina and NC State are really like the ones that give him a hard time. He's 2-6 against North Carolina and 0-2 against NC State. So overall, the state of North Carolina, well, not the private schools he's fine with. Wake and Duke he takes care of, but the state schools in the state of North Carolina he's had his struggles with. New offensive coordinator is Kade Bell. I am wearing a Western Carolina. Shout out to Weehawk. I host the FCS College Football Experience. Subscribe to that. And if you listen to us over the years, you would know that Western Carolina's offense was absolute fire. Kerwin Bell is his dad, the former CFL Toronto Argonaut and Florida Gator quarterback back in the 80s. You know, I'm kind of bullish on this hire, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they needed something to put some kind of spark in that offense, which was absolutely pathetic, and they've been scrambling since Kenny Pickett. Well, to be honest with you, since Kenny Pickett did that fake slide.
Oh, that's the worst play to ever happen on a football
field. Been karma ever since.
Yeah, they deserve that karma. Like that was the worst play in the history of American football. That's some shit.
Just dude, America. Period.
I agree, man. That like people will say, "Oh no, we lost our innocence when he assassinated JFK." Wow. No, we lost our innocence when Kenny Pickett fake slid. All right, one of the worst fucking moments ever. And the fact that like people were behind that saying, "Oh, why not? It's within the rules." Shut the fuck up. America should never do that. And
America should never do that. Pitt's been terrible since. Pickett's been terrible ever since. I've got the steel industry in general has been terrible ever since. We've been outsourcing.
But dude, to give you an idea of what I'm referring to with Kade Bell here, they had games last season of scoring 58 against East Tennessee State. East Tennessee State, just so you know, folks, they're not that bad of an FCS, right? They were recently in the playoffs. Now I know they had a down year last year, but putting 58 on them is impressive. They put up 52 on Chattanooga, who was top 25. They put up 77 on Charleston Southern. I mean, this offense was fire last season, man. The worst offensive output was a game against Furman where they only scored 17. But besides that, within the FCS, this offense was putting up major points. And, you know, after the Mark Whipple strange, you know, they win the ACC, but Narduzzi hated Whipple because he passed the ball too much. Or maybe he was actually, you know what? I bet you Narduzzi was pissed off about the fake slide. So he's like, you know what, Whipple, get the fuck out of here. You're probably encouraging him to do that.
Get the hell out of here.
But I'm encouraged. Randy Bates back at DC, but Kade Bell, I'm encouraged about the hire. What do you think?
Now you were saying beforehand, not out of Kade Bell, and of course you can't argue with those numbers. And their offense was number one in the FCS. There, you said he's a good schemer, so that will convert over. I think. I mean, obviously they got to do something with that offense. It should rejuvenate a little bit. But I think a big reason why Western Carolina's offense worked. A key to that working was because of their offensive line as well. And it's imperative for this offense to work to have protection. Now Pitt does return 4 starters. I mean, they're also last year's starters. So I think they'll be okay in that department, but they're really going to need to protect for this offense to click the way Kade Bell wants it to.
Yeah. Now this is the thing. I wonder if they will clash because Kade Bell if you watch Western Carolina football last year, they were super aggressive and Mark Whipple was pretty damn aggressive and they won an ACC championship. And then he said, you know what? You take your shit, you get out of the city. If I ever see you in the city again, you're done. All right.
Yep. Right up your room and get you out of there.
But I'm encouraged, man. I'm encouraged. So look, we do this thing talking about the worst loss since hey Pitt fans.
My favorite segment of the show is when you draw up all the terrible memories of the last 24 years.
Yeah, you got to humble yourself, you sons of bitches. All right. And look, there's a lot here. A lot of UConn. Your boys. UConn.
Anytime UConn comes to town. Like I said last show, I mean, it's starting to realize maybe UConn's not such a bad loss. They're on everybody's schedule here. But UConn pummeled.
Don't make the mistake of putting UConn on the schedule. You will end up on my graphic over the next 24 years. All right. Dude, I mean, it's gotta be, my first thought was Akron came into that filthy Heinz Stadium and got the dub, but Youngstown's gotta be the one that walks away with this. But part of me thinks Youngstown's program is better than Akron's though.
I know. I mean, you're talking about a good program there in Youngstown for sure.
You know, Ed O'Neill played defensive tackle for Youngstown.
Yes. Youngstown was always in a championship game when I was growing up for sure.
4 touchdowns, 1 game, man. Yeah, I think that's
Polk High.
That's the real
UConn 34-14 at home stands out to me there. That's pretty rough for of all the UConn losses, and there's a lot of them.
I'm gonna get you a UConn jersey, dude. I
would love a UConn football jersey.
Let's go. Timothy Green saying Western Michigan. That is true because had they not lost to Western Michigan that year, they won the ACC, so they probably would have been in the playoffs. The 4-team invitational, that is.
That's true.
If that loss had not occurred,
they had a lot from last year, even regular ones. I mean, they were 3-9 last year, their worst record since 1998.
And that was Walt Harris, right?
Yeah, of course, was old Walt Harris.
Folks, look, we're gonna talk more. By the way, that logo needs to come back too, dude. That logo's fire too. It's
look at that! All these Panther logos are amazing.
You know what it is though? Is nowadays that's an offensive logo because it implies that the Panther is biting.
He's rabid. Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably identifies as a gender too.
Folks, I want to tell you the Pitt Panthers 2023 season previews brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy just launched Underdog Streaks. Hit your first 2 picks in the pick-em-entries, and we're going streaking. All right. If you can go 11-0, you'll win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. Plus, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. Let me tell you something. They got college football best ball. We are going to really highlight that on this feed. We're going to do it because I just think that's fantastic. I've been waiting for college football best ball to drop for about 30 years. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Odds Jams. Look, Odds Jam is your one-stop shop for beating the sports books. Odds Jam uses millions of data points across every U.S. and Canadian sports book to show you the best value plays for your money. Their line shopping tool shows you the best price for any bet you want to make across countless sports books, not just DraftKings and FanDuel, but even BetOnline, Bovada, Cut, and much, much more. Their arbitrage tool will find opportunities where you can bet both sides of the same prop on different sports books to guarantee a positive ROI. If you're interested in trying out OddsJam, you can get a free 7-day trial period. Go to oddsjam.com. Use the promo code SGPN. Don't forget that promo code too, because that's going to get you 35% off your first month of your subscription. So hop out over there and check out OddsJam. All right, we are back talking Pitt Panther football. The offense last season, well,
I don't get brain man cold, but they're.
You know, I understand. They just thought they were. Narduzzi was like, I'm going to be so Pittsburgh. I'm just going to get a Signetti to run the offense. Well, it just didn't work out. All right. 114th. That's a bottom 20 offense in scoring per game. Also a bottom 20 offense as far as yards, and 75th in passing, which is surprising to me, and 120th in rushing. Pat Narduzzi team. What the hell's happened in Pittsburgh? I mean, I know they did that Striking Distance movie there.
Sudden Death as well. Don't forget that. Where Jean-Claude Van Damme plays a. For some reason, he becomes the goalie of the Penguins and has to stop a penalty shot.
That's a classic. I'm still perplexed about how I want to know more about this Pittsburgh boating scene with the police. You know what I mean? Like I went to a Steelers game and a Pirates game, and I went to that casino like right across the street.
Rivers, yeah.
Yeah. Even checked out like a submarine that was right there sitting on the river. I didn't see any police though, man. I was trying to get a deep dive on this striking distance angle.
Bruce Willis wasn't coming by on a boat flying.
I didn't see anybody on a fucking boat,
there?
man. I went out there on those seas, and I was disappointed. I was hoping that they would cover the sea or the three rivers a little bit more.
No, I've been on those rivers plenty of time. Got very drunk on those rivers. It's lawless, that's for sure. It's
that's what I'm saying.
It's like San Francisco Stadium there, but without any of the charm. It's just absolutely goddamn Yinzer lawless, drinking some errands.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping.
This offense was horrible. I cannot believe if you would have told me Pat Narduzzi would have the 120th rushing attack in the country, I would say it had to be his first year on the job somewhere. I mean, that a bottom 13 offense rushing the ball in the country. What am I missing here?
They've been scrambling for a quarterback since Pickett left too, and they were so souls and everybody, and it just hasn't worked out. And maybe, I mean, it'll be the quarterback battle will be interesting this year.
They got any Alex Van Pelts on this roster?
They don't have any Alex Van Pelts. They
Yarnell.
do have Nate Yarnell, who had a decent games versus Boston College and Duke towards the end of the year. So we'll see how it goes with there.
And they got this Eli Holstein guy that's coming in from Alabama. Look, they took Namath from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. David, we're taking Holstein. All right.
Van Pelt, by the way, was banging my neighbor when I went to Duquesne my senior year when I lived on top of Mount Washington. So I'd always see Van Pelt.
Was she hot?
Yeah, she was pretty hot.
Quarterback rules, man.
He was definitely a side. I mean, Van Pelt was after. I think he might have been a quarterback coach or some kind of position coach then, but whatever.
They got 9 starters back. Now, I put an asterisk next to Ryan Jacoby because he only started 1 game last year, but the previous year he did get, I think it was 7 starts the previous year. So that kind of counts as a returning starter.
If you say so, I'll give you, 5, but four legit returning starters. And Terrence Moore, the best one, I think, at center.
They also bring back, anytime you have a tight end named Bartholomew, take the over. Right.
I love the Gavin Bartholomew. I think he's one of, if not the best tight end in the ACC this year.
Yeah, I think he's a stud too.
Reynolds. That's right, Austin Libro, Mount Washington, where legends are made on the incline.
Reynolds and Mumpfield back at the wide receiver spots. The running back room. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
Rodney Hammond is a guy that I think is the next good running back for Pitt.
Really?
The next Ironhead Hayward. But look, they got him, but don't sleep on Desmond Reid coming in. They got a nice little 1-2 punch. Desmond Reid is a flea. All right. I don't say that with negative connotation. I mean that as in he can break like an 80-yarder. He's just a little scat bag, who's that running back that's on the Cowboys right now from Kansas State? I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
Deuce Vaughn.
Yes. He's got a little bit of Deuce Vaughn to him. I think the running back room could be pretty good with them and that offensive line returning this year.
Hammond, Hammond was their guy last year. He had about 550 yards last year. Like you said, all the numbers were bad last year. So she's definitely stepping up with there. And Reed is one of the 3 guys you said they brought over from West Carolina, right?
Yeah, they got a couple of wideouts from Western Carolina as well. We'll get to it in a second here. The offense doesn't really lose much in the portal. I don't even know which Polk, maybe. I don't know which one would be the most important there, but I'm not worried about what they lost there. They brought in
where are they going? Carnegie Mellon? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Let's get that out of here. Come on.
They brought in Holstein from Bama. Like I said, Desmond Reid at the running back spot from the Catamounts. Shout out to Weehawk. He's definitely a little pissed off about this. Also, Censere Lee and Raphael Williams, 2 wide receivers from Western Carolina that put up big yardage there. Also, did I say Raphael Williams?
Yes.
Yeah, my bad. I listened to him twice.
He's come from West Carolina.
I might have been having a cocktail. Yeah. Tight end Jake Overman from the Oregon State Beavers. You gotta like that one.
Nice Beaver.
And then Lyndon Cooper. Look, I'll say something about NC State positively here. We just dropped the preview. Go listen to it. But no, Their offensive line and defensive line under Doran has been legit. So anytime you get a guy on the line of scrimmage from them, I kind of buy into that being a nice get. Maybe he's not going to start, but as far as depth, I actually think he might start. But as far as depth, if he doesn't start, he's going to be good still to provide depth. Good get for the team. I'd say they definitely won the portal on the offensive side of the ball.
Offensive side of the ball for sure, and they also they bring back Konata Mumpfield at receiver. But yeah, I like the receivers. I like Raphael Williams there from San Diego State. He'll slip right in
via
there.
Western Carolina. Yeah. He was. That's what I'm saying. I was having a cocktail, drinking.
No, Williams is from. No, you're right. Williams is from San Diego State.
Yeah, but before that, he was at Western Carolina.
Via Western Carolina.
Yeah. They say that in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I know Via. I'm familiar with Via's game, but
I think the offense is going to be way better.
You're coming here via 3 vodka tonics. It sounds like. Actually, disillusion for being a new dad, but you're right. The offensive line returns all the starters. They brought in portals. They didn't really lose much. It's defense is where they lost everything.
Keep an eye out on Kenny Johnson too, another wideout that I kind of like to have a breakthrough year. I think the offense is going to put up substantially better numbers than a season ago, substantially.
Yeah, they should. That system, they have to. Well, they can't be worse.
Yeah. Weehawks still bitter about Weehawks. So do you root for Pitt more this year because your whole roster's in Pittsburgh? Just out of curiosity, or are you just bitter? Is that your most hated team? Yeah, I think the offense will be a lot better. We're going to talk about the defense in a second, but before I do that, I want to tell you that the Hail to Pitt preview there is brought to you by Rhythm. If you're not checking out the AI picks and props from Rhythm, well, you are missing out. They predicted a bunch of winners for the British Open, and their football models are about to drop. You can even customize your own betting models easily using Rhythm's tools there. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa. If you haven't been to Vegas to check out Circa, what the hell are you doing? I mean, it's sports heaven. It really is. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. If you don't have a trip booked yet for Las Vegas before football season, may I recommend the Ultimate Contest Weekend? It's a great time to get out there. Check out Stadium Swim. You're going to hang out with the Sports Gambling Podcast guys, Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. And look, if you're going out that weekend, use the promo code SGP15 to save you 15% off your hotel room. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. So do that and let it ride. All right, back talking Pitt football. Weehawk's a fan now. He's saying go Pitt. The defensive side of the ball, even though their offense was ass, these numbers are somewhat respectable in a way.
Yeah.
Because they're on the field the entire game. 73rd in scoring per game, giving up 27.3 points per game. 49th in yards. That was 8th best in the ACC. There was 14 teams last season, so 17 this year. They were 42nd in pass defense, which was smack dab in the middle in the ACC. But 66th in rush defense. That has got to be Narduzzi. I guarantee you he hasn't slept. He hasn't fucking slept all. What was that deal he had with like he had a great thing like a year or two ago with like a car dealership. Do you remember that?
No.
There's something with the car dealership, or maybe I don't know. I drawn a blank on it, but I remember laughing at Pat Narduzzi at some car dealership talking about NIL or something.
Yeah, well, if it's in Pittsburgh, maybe it was the Bonnieville down in Monroeville.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. There was something that cracked me up. He's a hilarious guy. You remember that Penn State game where I like him, but he definitely has some moments that gotta be very frustrating. Like that Penn State game, they're down 7, a minute and a half left inside the 5-yard line. Kick the field goal. It's like 4th and 1.5.
Yeah.
and they ask him why'd you kick the field goal? Well, wanted to make it a 4-point game, but coach,
I love it.
Coach, it was only a minute and a half left in the game. We thought we could stop them, get the ball back and score and win the game.
So funny.
Okay, but you also could have scored a touchdown from the 1 yard line.
And then get it 2 and then win that way. I hope it was Bonneville. There's some Yinzers in the chat room I see. They know what DV. When they go down to Pansinat in the Bonneville, they know exactly what Narduzzi is.
The irons. You think Narduzzi has a few iron cities?
Oh, he's got a couple irons for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I could totally see it. The defense returns just 3 starters: linebacker Brandon George, and 2 guys in the secondary, Donovan McMillan and Javon McIntyre. Kicker and punter back, Ben Sauls and Caleb Junko back. But look, I'm going to say this about the defensive side of the ball. They added some pieces, I think, in the portal that will be key pieces, but I just trust the defense will be like, he's proven this for years to me.
Well, I'll say this. Those 3 returning starters are big returning. I mean, their safeties are their best players, I think, on the entire roster. Brandon George is going to be huge too. They did get crushed with those D linemen, especially those guys. I mean, you're going to put it up there in a second. There's those guys that went to Colorado is devastating, but I agree with you. This is when Narduzzi does. When they're down and out, and you're ripped apart, he has the depth and he overachieves when you looking down.
I honestly think it's one of the best rooms in the country to be like a backup defensive end or linebacker, because I just feel like they're all taught fucking well, man. Whenever they over the course of his tenure there, I just feel like, they lost their entire linebacking core, and like I'll watch the first game the next season. Who the fuck is that? That guy's a beast, And I just feel like that their culture there, especially at those 2 positions and defensive backs as well. Remember Paris Ford a few years ago. I just feel like the defensive side of the ball, I don't worry about. Like normally you worry 3 starters back. No, I think the defense will be fine.
Well, here's the thing. Narduzzi's defense, they're always good and it was going to be solid. But when they were at their top a couple of years ago, when they won the ACC, they got sacks, they got like 120, whatever. And they have to get more sacks and rush the passer. But it's still there. It's still solid, but it's not the way it used to be. They don't have their, what they did, what they were known for, what Narduzzi was known for was getting to the quarterback, and they still apply pressure, but they weren't finishing anymore. And a lot of it, like you said too, has to do with the offense not helping them out by sustaining any drives. So I think that could balance it out, but they need to find that back, and I think they're capable. But this is a bloodbath right here.
It is a bloodbath. When you look at Buddy Mack going to South Carolina in the secondary, that's a hit. Solomon DeShields, watch, he's gonna have a big year at A&M.
A&M, that's brutal.
Calling that. Bengali Kamara is a fucking stud too, going to South Carolina.
And Hayes.
I love the Colorado gets. I think people are sleeping on Colorado strictly to me, like because I'm like they're gonna be really good on the D line. I think Colorado, like the biggest difference is not the O line, the Buffs D line. To me, I think is going to be really good this year. And
those 2 are huge losses.
Yeah. And then DeAndre Jules also going to South Carolina. So South Carolina coming in, taking 3 guys, Colorado Coach Prime coming in, taking guys, Mike Elko. Pay attention to who's coming in there. These guys, say what you want about Deion Sanders as a head coach, but I do believe he knows, what it takes to be a good defensive player in football.
Sure.
And Mike Elko certainly does. I think Mike Elko, I like I said, going out and getting DeShields. So they got absolutely destroyed in the portal from the defensive side of the ball. But I do want to highlight a couple guys they did get. Okay. First, they get a Jigbe from Clemson. Clemson always solid on the defensive line. And old Matlock.
Yes.
Nate Matlock from Kansas State. I was surprised they were able to get him. Actually,
he's gonna have to be the guy. Basically, he's gonna have to be the guy that gets it done. Nate Matlock. I agree with you. It was great that they got him. I mean, he's gonna be huge, and he's gonna have to be. He's got to fill in a lot of roles.
And then another one is Anthony Johnson from Illinois. Look, Illinois keeps a good defensive line under Bielema. So I don't know enough about Anthony Johnson, but I'm like, hey, I trust the culture there. Nick James from Indiana, we'll see. Chief Borders is another one that I am buying in on. Like he was good at Nebraska, so I think that's a good get. They go out and get Thompson, the linebacker from the Ohio Bobcats. I don't believe he's projected to start, but depth. And then in the secondary, getting Anglin from Kentucky and Lynham from Nebraska. Couple Nebraska. Yeah, you're gonna Colorado's gonna take my guys. We're gonna go get Nebraska guys. I just don't really like. I know they got rated, but I just think the defense will still be good.
Yeah, I mean, well, and they say right here, the D line took a huge hit, and Kamara leaving to South Carolina. A lot of these players just leaving. It's going to be just a lot of turnover. So you have to trust more in Narduzzi. I just think they have to, they have to get to the quarterback. But like you said, hopefully the offense will help them out a little bit.
Yeah. Let's get to it because the win total sitting at 5.5. The guy's had 2 losing seasons his whole damn career out of 9.
Well, one was last year, 3-9.
and look, and by the way, Vegas leaning to, so the under's at -120, the over's at +100. Vegas is saying this is a 5-7 football team. Where you at with if Narduzzi goes 5-7, he's going to get another year though, right?
Well, Pitt is genuinely a patient program. Wannstedt was given plenty of room to hang himself. Walt Harris, all that, but eventually they do go. This is going to be Narduzzi's 10th year. I mean, he's got a lot of equity in the bank, winning the ACC and all that. But if they don't improve at all, and they do another 3-4 win season, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, they're +1,500 to win the. I'm sorry, +15,000 to win the ACC championship. +10,000 to make the playoffs. And then +100,000 to win the Natty. Just blindly without diving into the schedule, I would lean over. I just trust that Narduzzi will win. You know, the ACC is not that tough, and especially
I tell you what. Yeah, I was
that?
just going to say last year's team, as bad as it was, and it was bad. Worst record since '98. They did beat Louisville, the ACC champions. You know what I mean? And like they were capable. I mean, they lost some close games, and they could have won more than 3 games for sure. They lost some. They got kind of rallied a little bit, and then there's no putting around. It was bad, but it's still there, so they can easily rack up 6 wins, especially with the schedule they got.
I was about to say, going through this exercise right before we went live. You know, we previewed Louisville yesterday. We got Louisville in the ACC championship. Go listen to that episode though, please. And I just did NC State this morning. I did North Carolina last night. I did Georgia Tech too. Georgia Tech, their schedule's way too hard. In my opinion, Clemson's schedule's too hard. It's worth sprinkling. Look at this schedule. Let's go game by game here. Kent State is horrible. Kent State's coming to town on August 31st. I know Pitt historically struggles with these MAC teams, but I will take Pitt to whoop Kent State's ass to start the season. 1-0. How about you?
Oh yeah, they got the win versus Kent State, no doubt about it. This is not even going to be that's not even going to be close. Just in general, before we even get to the schedule, it is ranked the 10th easiest schedule in all of the Power 4, which is pretty amazing. Of all of them, that's how easy the schedule is, so.
Well, then they're at Cincinnati. This is a revenge spot. I lean to Pitt here, but not by too much. I would say, Pitt by a field goal or something, but 2-0. Yeah. You?
I mean, it's a coin toss game for sure. I'm not high on, I think Cincinnati's gonna be terrible this year, but I think Pitt can definitely get this win, and they're
kind of a look ahead spot
though,
season. Man.
Right. It's definitely a look ahead spot, but it's early on. I don't look too much into the look aheads when it's, September, you know what I mean? That's kind of more as the season goes on, but Pitt can't look ahead to anything. They're freaking 3-9 last year, 3-8, whatever the hell,
Yeah. We got the Backyard Brawl week 3. Thank you for at least putting this game on the schedule. We'd still like it. The final game of the year.
Yeah. They get them at home at least.
Yeah, no. And if you listen to the West Virginia preview, I said I have West Virginia knocking off Penn State in the season opener, upsetting them. But I think West Virginia is going to lose this one. So give me Pitt to win the Backyard Brawl here.
Wow, you have Pitt beating West Virginia.
Look, if West Virginia loses to Penn State, then West Virginia beats Pitt. They're going to go 1-1 against those rivals.
I'll say, yeah. I was going to say, yeah. They're not winning Cincinnati and West Virginia. They're splitting that, I believe. And matter of fact, this first quadrant here, I think they go 3-1 going into this bye, which is good. But I don't think they're not going 4-0.
I got them 4-0. Let's go 4-0. Unless obviously the West Virginia game, you throw out the fucking records, the score. I got no idea. Besides, like, I feel like I need West Virginia to beat Penn State so that Pitt feels, like, oh God, we got to fucking take down this team. I need that to happen, I think, for Pitt to win that game. But I got them 4-0. Let's go.
All right. Well, I have them 3-1. I haven't losing to West Virginia or Cincinnati, but I'll say West Virginia.
Well, they got a bye week, and then they head to Chapel Hill, and I don't know what it is about Pitt. They suck against North Carolina, so I will take North Carolina to make them 4-1. You?
This is an interesting game. I mean, because they're going to have the bye, and this is when the season
actually a fucking huge game.
Yeah,
because North Carolina's schedule is really easy, and there's a decent shot that if Pitt is going to be a successful team this year and compete for an ACC championship with this nice schedule. They better this could be a vital game as far as, because I think you'll be battling with Carolina to potentially get in if you go, if you have, like, they don't play Florida State, right?
They don't play Florida State, Notre Dame, Miami,
Virginia Tech,
Miami, Virginia Tech, or NC State. I mean, that's 5 huge teams they're missing. That's why the schedule sets up so nicely for them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they're able to get this win, they'll probably be favored in all but 2 ACC games. And you lose 2 games in the ACC, then you could be in the ACC championship.
Oh, there's a path for sure for these guys in the ACC championship. That's why that number is pretty nice there. I like that. But this game off the bye starts the ACC schedule at North Carolina. I still think they lose it, but this is their opportunity for sure.
Yeah. Now, this is, I think, the hardest game to project right after the Carolina game. It's not going to probably be that cold yet. You're bummed out if you're a Pitt fan. You're like, put California on the schedule in November. Man, I feel like this is
just the fact that this is a conference game is a fucking joke.
It really is. It really is.
What are we talking about here?
To me, this is like the hardest game on the whole schedule for me to project. Because I could see Cal tripping here, but I also think I'm kind of bullish on Cal's roster. Give me Cal to win this. Give me go 4-2.
I think you're underrating the bad weather Pittsburgh has in October. Yeah, no, it's not going to be miserable cold, but it's always gross and ugly in Pittsburgh. It's the opposite of always sunny in Philly.
So you think I should take Pitt here?
It might not be 5 degrees, but there'll be some cross winds and hail and just some shit coming off the roads and all that stuff. Trust me, it'll be grimy enough there for Cal Bears, for those liberal goddamn snowflakes coming out there. And
all right, fucking give me Pitt.
Pitt beat.
I'm telling you guys, Cal. Like I think Cal's roster's, like, on paper.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the better rosters in the ACC. Like, of course, you have Florida State and Clemson and Miami first, but like after that, I think you can make a case that Cal has the 4th best roster for this particular season moving forward.
It makes a coin toss game, and they got another bye coming up right afterwards. That's why I think that they split North Carolina and Cal. That's how I kind of look at the totalitarian. If they beat North Carolina, then I can see them coming back home and dropping at the Cal. But if they lose that North Carolina game with a bye coming up right afterwards, they're going to beat Cal at home.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That Cal game's tricky. I think the whole ACC is sleeping on Cal for this season. Like, I think this is the best roster Cal's had since like 2008, in my opinion. But
since Javid Best, or what are you talking about?
I like that poll. Since Jeff Tedford was the head guy there. I'll join you though. Give me Pitt to get it done, because I feel like that's the hardest game to understand. The bye week, then they're home to Syracuse, so a Thursday night game.
Thursday night game at home for Syracuse.
Have you seen Syracuse's schedule, by the way?
Yeah. No, what's going on with Syracuse's schedule?
It's just a fucking cakewalk too, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, the ACC, if you think we're gonna get Florida State, Clemson in the ACC championship, you're all fucking delusional because there's too many easy schedules in these gigantic conferences. I'll take Pitt to get it done.
Yeah, I like Pitt home for Syracuse.
I don't feel great about this.
I don't feel great about any of these damn games. I mean, they're all coin tosses when it comes to this Pitt squad. But I feel like that's a good spot. That's a good spot for them off the bye in California at home, Thursday night at home. Oakland will be rocking or whatever. What are they at the ketchup bottle now? Wherever they play.
Yeah, whatever, the acupuncture stadium or some shit. Now you get a bye week. No, I'm sorry. Now you head to Dallas. Take on. Yeah, you look. Okay, I gave you. If I'm giving you Cal, you're not winning in Dallas. Against SMU.
But as we said last show, we're not as high on SMU as everyone else is. But I think they win this. They're going to be good. They're going to have to adapt to this. I think they're going to be fine in this conference. But
no, I'm not as high on SMU. I'm actually on the under with SMU this season. But
but they win this game.
I just feel like if I'm giving them Cal and Syracuse, they're bound to lose one of these fucking games. You know what I mean?
Are these power rankings of yours a little out of whack here? What's going on here?
Yeah.
SMU ranked as a tougher game than Clemson?
No, I think I might have fucked that up. But
tonics are all over the place in these cans of graphics.
But home to Virginia. They own Virginia.
Yeah,
home to Clemson. No, actually, Clemson's never won at Pitt. Let's go. They're going to beat Clemson at Pitt. It's going to be cold as fuck, dude. Clemson doesn't win in the cold, buddy.
Clemson's definitely on the way down. I don't know if they're on the way that far down yet. If I'm ready to give them, it'll be a tougher game for sure.
I'm all over this.
They won't get a transfer portal. Well, they will.
It's
win
the second end of a back-to-back, dude. They're at Virginia Tech the week before. Mm-hmm. I think they get past Virginia Tech. I think they lose at Pitt.
I'll say statistically speaking, of those 4 games, Clemson, SMU, North Carolina, throw Louisville in there, which they go to next. Statistically saying they should get one of those 4 games. They should get as an upset. You know, that's what they do. They lose games they shouldn't, and they occasionally, like last year when they beat Louisville, it won't be Louisville, but they'll win one of those 4 games.
Yeah,
so
I think they lose Louisville this year.
Yeah, for sure. They lose Louisville. But so they can get Clemson, they can get SMU, they can get North Carolina, but they can only get one of them.
So I think they lose to Louisville, but they beat Boston College in the season ender.
So you haven't beaten Clemson. I haven't losing to Clemson. I'm not that.
No, I love them beating Clemson this year.
Okay. And you haven't
Clemson's going to be up there trying to run the fucking air raid. Do you guys know Clemson is not Clemson of before?
Well, they're not, but they're still, I mean, they're also not Pitt of yesterday.
But even Clemson back in the day, even in their best teams, couldn't beat Pitt.
Well,
Pitt fucks with Clemson.
Well, you're talking about 2 of the best teams ever, 81 Clemson and 81 Pitt going at it for sure.
No, I'm talking about recently under Dabo, buddy.
I thought you're talking video game style because I saw
No.
I saw Noel Devine pop up in the chat room as a reference, and that was the greatest video game team ever made, that West Virginia team. With Pat White and Noel Devine and Amos Saraway.
I don't know, a Major Harris team. They're pretty fucking good. Dude, I don't know. My thing is, I think we got losses. My losses are here.
All right. So you haven't beaten Virginia at home?
I do. Virginia's never going to beat them.
And then beating Clemson and then losing to Louisville. And what about Boston College?
I got them beating Boston College. Obviously, I don't feel great about that one because it's just weird. It's just a sleepy spot to end your season. Players could be opting out if they're not going to make the playoffs. But
yeah, I don't like that Boston College game at all.
They do it. Wait, I think I saw they have a losing record. They're 1-2 against Boston College with Narduzzi.
Yeah, that's a loss. That's an absolute loss. Day after Thanksgiving, is that what that is? That Black Friday?
I think so. Yeah. I think so, man.
Sure.
Well, look, I'm on the over, dude. No matter what, I'm on the over because, like, to me, is there a bunch of losable games here? Yeah, they could lose to West Virginia, Cincinnati, North Carolina, Cal. You know, really every team not named Virginia. Kent State, Youngstown State. But I trust that they're going to move the ball better in this season. And I think the defense, I don't worry about the defense. I think the defense will be fine. And if anything, defense will be better statistically because they're not on the field that much or as much as a season ago. So I will take the over. I don't think it's that crazy. Let me paint you a scenario, best case scenario here. I only think they should be dogs in conference. The North Carolina, Clemson, and Louisville game. So like, if they can just go 1-2 in that stretch and take care of business everywhere else, I think they could play for an ACC championship game.
There's a path. This schedule sets up very easily for them. Now, are they capable of taking advantage of it? That's the question. They're going to need quarterback play. They're going to need to get to the quarterback. That's what's going to have to happen. But I have them at 6-6. I think that's enough for a bowl game. I think that's and there's an opportunity where a couple of those coin tosses go their way. They can get 8-4, something like that. It's possible. So either way, I have it over 5.5.
Yeah, I have them at I have them at 7-5 or 8-4. Like that, it's right there. I would set the number at 7.5.
That's a high number. I would hammer the under if that number was 7.5.
But I just feel like what. I mean, you're selling me on Boston College. Just like I get it. He's 1-2 against Boston College, but if you evaluate the rosters, if you blindfolded, you didn't know what teams, and you evaluate the rosters, you would take Pitt's roster over Boston College.
Yeah, I know, right? But I could also sell you on a loss on every single one of these teams. It's not called Youngstown State or Kent State.
No, that's true. But I just think they're more physical than Syracuse. At least the Syracuse. I mean, we'll see. The obviously new head coach there, but
I mean, I like them to go in there. There's a lot of coin tosses, and I hope they do bounce back. And they, like you said, they have a lot of things going for them, but they just got to replenish a lot on that defense.
They're hitting the over, dude.
All right.
Narduzzi, when he's projected to be shitty, they're good. You know what I mean? Like, this is a good underdog coach, in my opinion. They're hitting the fucking over. And look, I'm not even going to say I think it's a lock to take the over. And another thing, I think you sprinkle that plus 1,500 to the ACC championship.
Now that
15,000. I mean, geez, I can't.
15,000.
I think I just don't think it's that hard of a path. I mean, it's very favorable. This is what I mean. And then who knows what can happen? We saw it with the year with Kenny Pickett. Yeah, give me the over. Lock it up. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's go over 5.5. I like that. Put down your lock show. Play the music. Put the emoji. Whatever the fuck else you goes on there.
Lock up the Pitt Panthers over 5.5 wins, and there's good value on this. Plus 100 or plus 105. Shop around. It's not like you're taking minus 120 the other way. Let's go. I'm very excited to watch the ACC this year because of this gigantic conference and these idiots. I don't think for the playoff didn't think about this. Like I said, do yourself a favor. You dive into every team like we're doing here, all 134. You'll see, in my opinion, that Clemson and Miami and even Florida State to a certain extent have a much harder schedule to me than the likes of like 5 teams in the ACC. Now, the question is, are of those 5 teams, are 2 of them good enough to actually run the table somewhat and end up with 1 loss or 2 losses? I think there's a few that could, and that's why I think, Pitt is worth the value play. Yeah, I feel pretty damn good about it. Give the Bet Detective a follow. Look at that goddamn sandwich on the screen.
Hermanis.
At CJ Sullivan _ check out the bottom line bombs. What are you guys tackling this week? Besides, I hope you guys are doing a long segment on that shitty ass NFL kickoff, and you can't kick an onside without telling them that it's an onside, and you can't do it until the 4th quarter. I mean, dude, I understand we have Cal in the ACC, but I don't give a fuck. These rules in the NFL are fucking pathetic, dude.
I know. They can't even just do it right and just rip off the UFL and XFL, whatever. Just do it page for page, whatever you got to do.
You got to announce that you're kicking an onside kick. What the fuck is this? What we gonna put our plays on the jumbotron next? Hey, we're gonna pass the ball on this play.
I know, and they're suspending the Patriots for this kind of stuff, and for trying to find out what the play is called. Now you have to say it from.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
It's hilarious. Yeah, no, I didn't cover all that. And I saw in the chat room someone wanted a Duquesne preview. Let me tell you something. Rooney Field will be rocking this year as they step their.
Oh, I like they got Boston College on the schedule.
Yes, they do. They're not afraid of anybody. They're
Watch out, Eagles there. All right, come there to Alumni Stadium. All right, come there and get that dub. Eagles fly high, not so fast. All right. Yeah. Check out the Bottom Line Bombs podcast. Always year round. It's not a seasonal thing. All right. Year round, always talking action.
Yeah. And breaking news. And I will be out there for sign up weekend with Sean and Ryan in Vegas. If anyone wants to head out there.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you'll be out at Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
I will be in Pittsburgh, but not until after the season. I think my dates are in February or something.
All right. Well, stay tuned. Give the Bet Detective a follow there at CJ Sullivan _. I'm on Twitter at TColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. YouTube.com/The College Experience, the home for all of our shows. Check out the College Basketball Experience. Could it be a big year for Jeff Capel and company coming up? Might just be. Also, check out the College Baseball Experience. All those come together as one. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Also, the Stadium Heads podcast. Yes, we will talk shit about Pitt getting rid of Pitt Stadium. Fire everybody involved with that move. But if you like Pitt Stadium, you'll dig that show. Check out the Stadium Heads podcast. Check out the Sports Gambling podcast. Till next time, folks. This is the College Football Experience. Hail to Pitt style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the cameras. Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And you know what you're getting because the book's rewritten with the cameras.
Billy West.
Everybody's trying
Yes.
to stop